Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. So today we're going to do a presentation, a BBI presentation on the topic of thermodynamics, and our focus will be on adiabatic container, or also known as egg incubator. Now before we start, allow me to introduce myself and also my team members. My name is Aina binti Shahar. My matrix number is 190234.
My name is Syahirah binti Tarmizi. Matric number is 187825.
My name is Nabilah binti Yasmin and my matrix number is 190155.
Okay, so now I'll start off the presentation and then followed by Syahirah, and also will be concluded by Nabilah. So the introduction. Now thermodynamics is actually considered to be one of the most important parts in our daily lives. Whether you are traveling in your vehicles or you're just simply sitting in your room full of air conditioner, watching television, you'll notice the applications of thermodynamics everywhere, whether it's directly or indirectly. Now, for those of you who don't know what is thermodynamics is actually a branch of physics that deals with the relationship between heat and other forms of energy. In particular, it describes how thermal energy is actually converted to and from other forms of energy and how it affects matter. So in this case, adiabatic container, it will affect the eggs. Now in thermodynamics, adiabatic container is actually egg incubator. Now for those of you who don't know what an egg incubator is, it is actually a machine that creates a perfect condition for an egg to incubate and hatch successfully. It actually recreates the role of the broody hen that plays in nature. So next slide please. Okay, now this I'll talk about thermodynamics application. Now in thermodynamics, we have the first law of thermodynamics. This first law is actually known as law of conservation of energy, which states that the energy cannot be created or destroyed in an isolated system. Now this law, if we applied it in our incubator, it means that the heat will be transferred between the eggs and also the bulb and the incubation environment down a thermal gradient, which means that the heat will be transferred from a hot place to a cold or warmer place, things like that. And then we'll move on to the second subpoint. Next slide please. Okay, we'll move on to the daily uses of thermodynamics. Now, the list of applications of thermodynamics is very long, and if you want to mention the individual application, it will take quite a long time. So I'll list down things that are commonly used with thermodynamics. So the first one is the vehicles we use. For example, cars, motorcycles, trucks, ships, airplanes. And then we have the refrigerators, deep freezers, industrial refrigeration systems, and all types of air conditioning systems, and also heat pumps. And also the last one is various types of power plants, such as thermal power plants, nuclear power plants, and also hydroelectric power plants. Okay, so I think the next slide will be continued by Nabilah.
Okay, so I will start with how to build an adiabatic container. So if you want to know how to build a adiabatic container, we have to have the materials and also have to know how the steps have to be taken. And now I will explain about it. I will show you what's the materials in adiabatic that we use. So now we have light bulb. So as stated we have to avoid using LED light bulb, which LED light bulb is not hot enough to withstand the temperature to terminate the embryo in the incubator, and also the connector of the bulb, which connect the light bulb from the switch. And also we have to use the high quality of thermometer. Either you can use a normal thermometer and also a digital thermometer. And it depends on the number of your groups that you want to hatch the eggs. And also the box or cardboard. Also you can use a drawing blocks and whatever not. And a small fan or a bowl of water for the humidity. So next slide please. Okay, these are the steps to build the adiabatic container. So the first step is set up an incubator. So in this case, we use a DIY incubator, which cost us less money. And also, if the incubator have been built, we have to put or keep the incubator indoors to maintain the uniform temperature and also humidity. I will explain the temperature and humidity on the next slide. Okay, so the size and type selected depends on the future plans of each producer. Step 2 is find fertilized eggs. So we can find the fertilized eggs or buy some fertilized eggs in poultry or farms. And do not buy the eggs in supermarket, is because it is not fertile eggs. Okay, so after we manage to buy the eggs, we have to collect the eggs and transfer the eggs into the incubator immediately, as soon as possible. So next slide. Step 3 is incubate the eggs. So the days needed is 21 days on average to hatch the eggs. Okay, so the incubator, once the incubator is functioned properly, it is just a method to maintain the environment until the chick is hatched. So the final step is step 4, hatch. So the final days before hatch, between 18 to 21 days, the eggs may be observed shifting about their own fetus to become active. So the chick is free from the eggs. So we have to let it dry off in the warmth of the incubator and the chick will spend the first week of their life. Next slide please. So here's are the conditions for hatching eggs. So there's two main conditions actually, temperature and also humidity. So I just add on the ventilations. Okay, so we need to know the temperature. The stable temperature is 37 to 40 degrees Celsius. We have to maintain this temperature at all times during the incubations, and also humidity. So we have to maintain the humidity 40 to 50%, maintains for the first 18 days, and also 65 to 75% needed for the final days before hatching. Okay, so ventilations, as we know that the eggshell of the eggs is porous, so it allows the oxygen to enter and carbon dioxide to exit the eggs. So in incubations, incubator needs the holes to allow the egg to circulate the fetus to birth. Okay, as we already did the experiment before, so it is more important to maintain the temperature, because if the temperature higher than 40 degrees Celsius, the chick will become cooked. The leg of the chick will become cooked. So it's very important to maintain the temperature 37 to 40 degrees Celsius, and also the humidity. So I will pass the next slide to Nabilah to explain about the egg development and also conclude.
So I will present about the egg development when we conducted the experiment. So for the embryo development should be conducted because we have to see the embryo development to see the development of a fertilized and incubated egg. For the embryo development, we should do the egg candling. What is egg candling? Egg candling means egg candling is to determine the development of a fertilized egg, whether the egg has not yet been hatched, incubated, or might be fertile. As we can see in this figure, this is the figure of the egg development from day 3, day 6, day 8, day 10, day 15, and day 19. For the day 3, we should see the germ spot. What is germ spot? Germ spot is a tiny blood, so we can know that the egg is alive or not. On the further day, we should see the veins and blood vessel, so that we can monitor that the egg is still alive or not. Okay, for the next slide. Okay, for the egg development, this is the do's and don'ts when we do the experiment. We have to do the egg candlings, and it should have the do and don'ts, right? Okay, if we have a trouble when we review the egg contents, like the previous slide that shows the egg development. If we having a trouble with egg contents, we should turn off the lights or go into a dark room, so we can monitor so we can see the embryo development more clearly and more precisely. For the second, we should turn the eggs at least 3 times a day. This is because we don't want the eggs to be stick on one spot. If we let it be, the egg will not develop because it stick on one point. Next, be sure hands are clean and dry. We have to make sure our hands are clean and dry because all from our fingers can clog the pores in the egg, and if the all keep clogged, the embryo cannot get the oxygen, so the chicks or egg will die. And lastly, about 8 days of the embryo development, we should see the pig wiggling and kicking in his eggs, so we know that the eggs is alive, and then we can proceed our experiment. We have do this experiment, and some of our eggs is not hatched because of this, because the thing we have done. For example, hands are clean and dry. We don't clean our hands and the chicks died. Next slide is conclusion. Okay, for the conclusion, as Aina and Syahirah present earlier, we do the adiabatic container. Okay, I will explain more about adiabatic container. An adiabatic container has an environment at a fixed temperature and no heat loss. Because an adiabatic container, the walls is stiff and no particles exchange from outside and inside, so we can constant the temperature and humidity. And the next is eggs need a specific environment to develop and hatch successfully. As we told earlier, humidity and temperature should should be monitored and constant at a certain level. This is because when the adiabatic container is higher than the ideal level, the egg will not hatch and the egg will die. As Syahirah told earlier, the conditioned eggs, the temperature is between 36 and 39 Celsius. And for the relative humidity is 50 to 65%. For the ideal relative humidity is 60%. Okay, and lastly is as told earlier also, fertile eggs takes around 20 days to hatch. Some breeds takes a longer and some breeds takes shorter. If the breed doesn't hatch after 25 days, it should be removed from the container because it considered died. So I think we all told you about the experiment that we conducted. From this experiment adiabatic container, I think you all should should have do this also, because it is an exciting experiment that we have to, and we already got the chicks.
Yes, and it's quite interesting for you to like observe the development of the eggs and actually to finally hatch an egg and have your own chick. So it's a very exciting project, and we hope that you will want to try and do this project. So I think that is all for our presentation today. Thank you for watching.
We hope you enjoy it.
And we will improve the presentation
Thank you.
later. Thank you.